Oh, where's the hat? There's the hat. Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. I'm Bill. We are in the Call of Cthulhu Keeper's Rulebook today. We're going to go over all the chase rules that we just did videos for. As this is going to just be a chase rule recap video. And we're not going to read it as heavily in depth as we did for the other videos. So if you need more information on it, or you wanted it delved into deeper, go watch one of the earlier videos, please. So without further ado, when you are getting into a situation when you're going to be in a chase, you need to establish the chase. You need to check to see if the fleeing character is faster than the pursuer, or if the pursuer is a lot faster than the fleeing character. You make speed rolls, which are con rolls, or if you're in a vehicle, you'd make a drive roll. So, or a piloting roll if it's a plane. So, and if you succeed, you have no change in your movement. If you have an extreme success, your movement goes up by 1 point. And then if you have a failure, your movement goes down by 1 point. Then you check your movements against each other. So say I got a monster chasing my investigator, and the monster's speed is 25 feet, and my speed's 30 feet, or the investigator's speed's 30 feet. Well, you reduce everyone down to the lowest speed, so 25 feet is becomes movement 1, and then 30 feet becomes movement of 2. So you get the 1 for the 25, and then you get another square you can move, so you get 2 movements. Then on your turn, the monster would move 1, and you would move 2. From there, you cut to the chase. So you start designing the location as far as where do you need to get out of this chase? Are there going to be any obstacles? And you just lightly do the obstacle things. You put how many points from point A to point B is there where you would burn movement, you would do stuff to get there. Say I want to cross the street. Okay, if I'm in the house, point 1 is the door, or point 1 is where I start, then however far it is to get to the door. The door's an obstacle if it's closed, but it doesn't have to be like a major obstacle. It could just be an obstacle. So I have to burn a movement action to open it. Now if it's locked, I have to unlock it. So I'd have to burn a movement action to unlock it and then open it. So, and if I wanted to just barrel through the door, I'd have to make a strength check to go through the door and knock it off its hinges. So, and that's how the obstacles work. And the obstacle would be between 2 points. So the first point would be in front of the door, and the second point would be right outside the door on the front porch. So from there, I have stairs on my porch that go down. So that would be another obstacle. Either it would slow me down, or I can attempt to gain some speed by running really fast, you know, so on and so forth. Then I need to cross the road to get to, say, the house on the other side and go in their door and hide from the creature. Well, crossing the road could be its own obstacle. You could have cars coming by, it could be in the middle of the night, it could be raining, so on and so forth. So all this could add to the chase. And the chase rounds work like any other combat round as far as whose turn it is and how long their turn goes. Now, if you wish to do anything other than navigating the obstacles and running, there are options. You would treat a round like a combat round in a chase. So if I wanted to, say, open fire on the thing, I'll burn one of the chase movements, but I can only open fire once because that would be a normal combat round. And then after that, I would move, or I would move first and then open fire. I could attempt to hide. If I was, say, if I ended up going down a road next to a forest. I could try to go hide behind a tree or hide behind a giant boulder or whatever. And if the chances of it working are better because I'm in the lead of the chase, then you're just making a skill check opposed by it. And if you are out of sight of it, the chances of you succeeding are even greater. Now, there are hazards and barriers. That's how they break it down. Say the door becomes a barrier and say a mud puddle becomes a hazard. So here's a couple of samples for the foot chase. A low fence or wall is a hazard, a latched window, a river, lake, or muddy swamp, a crowded street. And then barriers is a high fence or wall, a chasm, a locked door. So those are some examples for you. And then I covered conflict because I was talking about how the fighting works. And then out of the optional rules, you can do random hazards and barriers, which allow you to roll a D100. On a 59 or lower, there's no hazard between those two dots. So you'd roll for every option for a hazard. And then on a 60 or higher, you have either a regular hazard, a hard hazard, or extreme hazard. Extreme's a 96 or better, a hard's a 85 or better, and a 60 or better is regular. There are rules for sudden hazards. Sudden hazards, say you're going through a crowded street and somebody could bump into you or fall over in front of you while you're being chased. You could ask for that, or you're driving down the road and then somebody's pushing a buggy across the road. Well, the player or the game master at the beginning of that chase both have the option to call for one. The first person to call for one cannot call for another one until later. And then you make a roll to confirm whether the sudden hazard happens in your favor or not. What's the roll? And sudden hazards will be of regular difficulty. Luck roll. So it's a group luck roll. So if the luck roll passes for the investigators, it's in the investigator's favor. Hiding was an optional rule, escaping the pursuit. Passengers. Now, if you're in a vehicle, you, the driver, is doing all the driving. Now, the person next to you in the passenger seat could help you navigate by pointing out hazards coming up and giving you a bonus. In addition to that, the others, including the guy that could be helping you navigate, could stick their heads out the window and open fire at the enemy or the monster chasing you. So that would be their action during that chase. And then if the driver takes damage, if he suffers a major wound while driving, he has to make a check to retain control of the vehicle, or you'll immediately crash and take more damage. And then there's optional rules for characters joining in as a chase has begun. Say, I'm being chased down the street by whatever monster is chasing me. We'll make it simple. We'll go with zombies. Zombies are chasing me down the road. The party has just left a restaurant, and they see me a few feet away being chased by this thing. So they decide to enter the chase. Whether they're behind the creature, with me, or whatnot, is all determined upon when they get to enter the chase. So, and then from there, you would just run it as after establishing their speeds and add them in and give them an initiative, whether they go first, second, third, whatever. There's rules for characters creating hazards, locking a door behind you, tipping over a concession stand, so on and so forth. There's rules. There's sort of rules for splitting up. Say if you split up, go down 2 different paths. If it's only one monster and it has one choice, it'll choose just one of the 2, and then the other person technically has gotten out of the chase. There's rules for vehicular collisions. It briefly talks about chases in the air and the sea. And then it gives an example from the Call of Cthulhu. And that's it. That's everything on the chase. The chase rules are pretty straightforward, but first time or 2 I would use them, I'd keep most of the optional rules out if it makes sense to, and then only implement the rules that work as far as what makes sense to introduce to your players if this is new to them, and then add in more complications and more stuff as they adventure in the future. And they'll get very comfortable with it. So I also am looking at how can I use these rules in other game systems. I'm thinking that my Pathfinder campaign might benefit greatly from these chase rules. So without getting too complicated, I think it would be a great addition to my Pathfinder game. And this is the recap, so until we game again, guys,